Live with Dr. Defacto. Anybody out there? Anybody listening? Anyone? Anyone out there? I didn't schedule it. I didn't schedule the live stream, but I know you're there. I know someone's out there somewhere, somehow, waiting to talk about gang stalking, about the perps, about the gaslighting, about the attacks, food tampering, workplace harassment. Yeah, I'm going to have to schedule this next time. Someone has to be paying attention. Come on, man. It's been a little while here. Uh-oh, we've got one out there. We've got one watching. I didn't schedule it. Who are you? Let me know who you are. Yeah. How come I can't see the chat here? I'm not a technical individual here. And for some reason, I'm not getting any messages here, man. Oh, it's Lorraine. Lorraine, how are you? There you are. Yeah, I decided to do some live chat here, and I'm trying to figure this out. I don't know why I'm not seeing all the messages here. You can tell I'm a technical idiot. That's okay, though. You guys still like me anyway. And let's see here. Okay, so we've got Lorraine. We've got someone else, a mystery guest. Yeah. And I was just saying that this is my first live stream ever. Never done a live stream before, obviously. And questions are okay if I can see if these messages pop up on here. And you guys got to show me how to do these things. Of course, I've been in other live chats, stuff like that, but I've never done one. So, well, Lorraine, I know you've messed around. You've had problems with your neighbors before, and you've had your personal property attacked. You've had a lot of issues like that. And I think all targeted individuals deal with that. I think that, just being a targeted individual anywhere, no matter what kind of harassment you're dealing with, you're going to have that neighborhood thing. You're going to have stuff going on. You're going to be dealing with, they're still up to no good. Yeah. Well, they have to do something. And really, when it comes down to it, it's that scapegoat thing. You're like the target individual's like the scapegoat of the neighborhood. They've got a vent on someone, and targeted individuals, well, we fill that role. Yeah, we do. They've got a lot of hate, they've got a lot of frustration, and that's just the way it goes. All right, it's like the glue. Have you guys ever been in a group of people that didn't have a scapegoat of some kind in it? There's always a scapegoat. It's like a necessary thing. Everybody can vent their hate. They can take out their frustrations. They talk with each other. There's nothing to talk about. There's that awkwardity, and they just get a conversation going. Yeah, let's talk about and it's annoying. Yeah. Well, Lorraine, I appreciate you, chiming in here. I have no idea who else is out there. Someone keeps. I get a lot of hints on my messages that, oh, I didn't know your channel was out there. Where have you been? I've been looking for one of these types of channels, and you're just not out there. I saw you on someone else's channel. So someone said that they're suppressing my channel. I don't know. How are they going to drive you guys nuts if I'm helping you out? That's That's got to be it, man. That's got to be it. Because I know that's what's going on. They don't like me. They don't like the advice I give because, it's just, when you've seen as many things as I have as a target individual, when you've dealt with all these tactics, when you've dealt with all these games and everything, and, they're just, instructing people to follow protocols and not to react. They don't like that. They don't like it. They want people to be, rocking back and forth in a corner somewhere and just pulling their hair out, trying to figure out how to solve this stuff, trying to, do all these things. And you can't control what's happening. If you're a targeted individual, that's probably one of the most frustrating aspects of being a target is that you can't stop these people. You're outnumbered, right? They're ganging up on you, and it's that sense of injustice that builds up. I know that some of the mass shootings have got to be targeted individuals. Right? They want people to react. They try to push you over the edge. They try to do things. Lauren was talking about her neighbors and stuff like that. Are they pushing you, Lorraine? Do they do that to you? Do they try to get you to do something crazy or whatever? I don't know. They've done that to me before. I've had that happen. I've seen other people, uh, who've dealt with that. And yeah, yep, yep. I knew it. I knew it. Yeah, I used to have. In fact, what haven't I seen? But I mean, I had a neighbor. They would throw stuff at the house, do all this kind of nutty things, and I'm not even going to go into some of the other crazy stuff. But then after all that, they would come and knock on the door, at midnight. Oh, I just wanted to see if you were up. And it's not like we're hanging out or nothing either, right? And they're holding a child, a little baby, like 1 year old or something like that. And what are they doing? They're driving by honking their horns. Oh gosh, you gotta love that. Yeah, yeah, the noise campaign. You gotta love those. And that's a classic. That's a classic technique because it depends on what it is. There's deniability, right? And because oh, I'm just trying to fix something. Really? So you're just pounding on that block of wood for the last 3 hours with a hammer. Are you gonna fix that anytime soon? No, just gonna yeah, just make some more noise. Yeah, don't worry about it. And they just kind of play it off. The horns, the loud engines, and stuff like that. I've kind of got a location right now that's good, and I got lucky. Either that or it's God's providence because I'm surrounded by children, literally. Okay, everybody has kids, right? So that'd be a good, I don't know, a good place to find if you're a targeted individual out there wondering, what am I going to do? Where am I going to move? Try to move in a place where there's as many children as possible, because if they try and do that, man, the kids screaming or waking, you can't. They drive by with the loud stereos, the loud cars, and they just look as tiny as they are because, of course, they're waking up the little kids. I've lived in a lot of different places, and when you get into a place that they can do that, they can get away with it. Maybe some low rent or something where there isn't any families around there or whatever. And then what? Oh man, they don't care. They'll park right outside your house and crank the stereo. Yeah, yeah, they'll do that. Um, but I'm surrounded by kids, right? So if you're out there, you're wondering, what do I do? The energy weapons, the noise campaigns, right? I haven't had a whole lot of problems with that. I've been here for over a year now. The apartment that I lived in, oh, all targeted individuals know about those apartments. Oh my gosh. I didn't think I was going to get out of there alive. I literally didn't think I was going to make it. I had to visqueen it off. I mean, I was getting fumed. I caught him up to the window with a pipe, It was like 3, 4 in the morning. I wake up, smell like something was burning. Right? I'm like, what the hell? Is there a fire outside the window? And they're exposing Lorraine, you're exposing the FBI as, oh my gosh. And I was like, what's going on here? And so it was just too strong. The fire would have had to have been like right outside the window. So I kind of crawled out of bed and I snuck up to the adjacent room, which happened to be a bathroom, and I opened the window really fast. And they had a pipe coming out of one of the other apartments over on the side of me, and it was, I don't know, they must have had a shop vac or something, or some type of delivery system. My gosh, man. I mean, really? Anyway, that's not even believable because it just sounds so crazy. A lot of the stuff that targeted individuals deal with is just unbelievable. You cannot tell people what you're dealing with because it's just too crazy. It's too insane. That's probably, one of the worst aspects about gang stalking is the unorthodox techniques. It's nuts. They do the weirdest things. You get the street theater, you get all that stuff. They'll say things that are just weird. And, you try to, what are you talking about? They came up to me and said whatever. And it doesn't even sound like anything that any logical human being would do. Or you get the stalling tactics or the passive aggressive maneuvers. And, I've used this example before. There was a guy that I met who told me he was diagnosed with schizophrenia, right? And I'm like, well, how's that work anyway? And he said, well, I hear things and stuff like that. I'm like, well, what do you mean? And he said, well, I just imagine that people are saying things to me, right? And I'm like what? And so he kind of went into some of it, and it was just bizarre. I'm not even going to repeat some of the things that he said. And I'm like, wow, and so I'm like, well, when does this happen? Well, it happens usually at work. And I'm like, wow. So, but to make a long story short, this dude was not hallucinating, right? He was a targeted individual. And, we found out that the people were really saying that stuff. And when he came up to me and he said, we got to talk. I got to talk to you. And I'm like, okay, what's going on? He says, well, I told you about the schizophrenia. I'm like, yeah. He said, well, you're the only person that I've really spent time around, because he didn't have any friends, that hasn't, done that. And I'm like, what do you mean? I haven't imagined that you've said anything to me, And I'm like, well, that's pretty weird, because, and that's the thing about some of the mental diagnosis that you have, especially when it comes to targeted individuals, because supposedly all you guys are just hallucinating, right? All you guys are just making this stuff, or it's a symptom of mental illness, which isn't even possible, right? Because if you were really hallucinating, then you would imagine all kinds of things, right? The trees would be talking to you, but it always follows the theme, right? The targeted individuals they must be having a mass psychosis. I've heard that before as well, right? That's the only way to explain it. Because, if you were someone who's just having hallucinations or delusions or whatever, why does it follow the theme? Why is it just, street theater? Or why do you believe that people are following you? And so on and so forth. Jono, oh man, I haven't seen you in a while. Wow. Are you still building those campers, man? It's pretty cool stuff. I thought that was cool, man. Yeah. Targeted individuals and campers, they go hand in hand, because you never know what's going to happen. They're always trying to get you homeless, right? They want you out on the street. Oh man. Yeah. I think I'm right. Is that right, Jono? Were you the guy making the campers and stuff? I thought you were. Back into the Matrix, huh? Yeah. We can never leave the Matrix. we were born here. We just finally woke up, man. It's like Neo. Really? So that's what's going on. Oh man. Yeah. I've I looked into the off-grid thing as far as the campers and all that stuff because I thought I was going to be homeless. I worry about it all the time. I never know what's going to happen. I mean, I've got workplace harassment. Even though I'm just a DoorDash driver, even though I'm doing the Uber Eats thing, I'm delivering food. I get harassed. I'll go into stores or whatever, and they'll play games with me or try to get something going. I've had a few customers mess around. There was one lady that called and said she smelled drugs or something like that, man. And of course, I offered to do a drug test, and we cleared the whole thing up. But I mean, really, I mean they literally investigated the whole thing. You get disgruntled customers, what else are you gonna say? You can't tell I'm a targeted individual. It's I don't know. Maybe they forgot to put the ranch or the mustard or something inside the delivery, and they're taking it out on me. Really. But I get workplace harassment. I worry about homelessness, and I thought about that. In fact, the last vehicle that I had, um, I had a Trailblazer because I thought maybe I was going to have to pull one. I was thinking about converting a cargo trailer, and I went through and learned how to do all the solar and all that stuff, and figured out how to put a little shower in there and everything. And I didn't know what the hell was going to happen. I didn't know. The trailer I was living in, they destroyed that. They toasted it, man. And that thing had brand new siding put on it, and it had a brand new roof and everything. And they fumed me. They did all that. I think it was mercury vapor, but I don't know, man. All I know is I couldn't think. Messed me up. My ears were ringing for like I don't know about a month, and I couldn't. I was delivering the wrong food to people. I actually gave somebody $20 because I gave them the wrong food package, and I went back up there. I was all, "Oh, I'm sorry, don't worry about it. We like Chinese food." I'm like, "Yeah, but you ordered hamburgers, here." But they destroyed that, and it was worth a lot of money too. In fact, I looked up the value. I paid for the title and everything. It was worth around $90,000, and I got a quick appraisal on that thing before the whole thing happened because I was just gonna try and get out of there. Of course, my family had a lien on it, so I couldn't sell it. And the guy gave me a $65,000 liquidation price because he would have to have all the title information, everything, or he was going to have a carpenter inspect it because they've got to look at all that stuff. It had an addition with the garage door opener. It was nice. It had two bathrooms and 3 bedrooms, but yeah, they just destroyed it, man. They didn't need that money. They didn't need it. They were rich, millions, over 15 million, minimum, depending on who you're talking about. But yeah, the homeless thing is always a threat, at least for my experience. Trying to, Lorraine, it sounds like you own your own house, so you're kind of stuck where you are, And but you'd have to decide which is worse, right? What now? I thought it was EMF, mostly anxiety. I don't know. That's a good one, Jono, because oh you had to abandon it. Oh, I'm sorry, Lorraine. I apologize. I'm trying to keep up with this, and I'll admit when I do videos, I close my eyes and the light flashes in front of me because I'm seeing the message, but yeah, I'm just basically sitting here in the dark. But that's a good point, Jono, because when targeted individuals are attacked, You don't know what the hell's going on, you know? Oh, that sucks, Lorraine. Oh man. But getting back to the point, I experienced that, right? You don't know what you're dealing with. You don't know if it's something that's demonic. You don't know if it's something that's technological. You don't know if somebody's been, paid to harass you. You don't know if somebody's possessed or something. You don't know what the hell's going on. You don't know what the hell. But you got to deal with it. You know that. You don't like it. That's always universal. And I've been dealing with some stuff. The dreams. Oh yeah, you got to love that. Yeah, the dreams, and especially if it goes into street theater or something like that. You get some pretty weird stuff going on, and a lot of targeted individuals. That's when people start thinking that they're people are reading their mind and all that kind of stuff. I've seen some pretty weird stuff. Let's see what the wording. These people I've lived by in a neighborhood have a history of causing neighborhood problems. So they're a plague in that area. Yeah, yeah. Oh, dreams. You know what? I for quite a while I didn't even remember most of my dreams. I think it was because I was smoking a lot of pot. I used to smoke a lot of marijuana. I don't anymore. It's been a long time. I quit years ago, but that was one of the main reasons. Not the only reason, but I didn't remember dreams most of the time. It was just a slice of death. You close your eyes, and the next time you open them, it's morning, and you're pretty much done. Either that, before that, I didn't sleep a whole lot. I went for about 22 years of where I was going through withdrawals. I was hooked on the benzos and going through withdrawals. I might, get 2 hours of sleep, 3 hours of sleep a night. That was a nightmare. But yeah, dreams are going to mess with you because you think about it. I mean, it's not just the fact that you're into this strange realm of your dream world, this dreamland that you get into, where who knows what you're going to be thinking about. And some of that stuff is, a lot of people speculate that could be stimulated by technology. Who knows? I mean, they're talking about some pretty weird stuff. They're talking about hooking in to your brain, literally hooking up individuals right through their blood vessels. And they're saying they can do it. I don't know if you guys have heard of that one. It was on Glenn Beck and a couple other shows. They're talking about, jacking people into the metaverse or whatever. And, Elon Musk, he wanted to figure out more about that or something. I don't know. I mean, is it really? But if you're not worried about that, then you're thinking, I don't know, is it witchcraft? Is it something demonic? What the hell's going on? Why am I having these weird dreams? And then you think about it. It hangs with you for, at least a day. It might hang with you more than that. But let's see. I've been diagnosed with PTSD. These nuts. Yeah. Well, I think all targeted individuals have post-traumatic syndrome, probably complex post-traumatic syndrome. I'm not familiar with all the diagnoses. And not all psychiatry is completely bad. I mean, but I don't know. It's infiltrated everything to the point where I don't mind a post-traumatic stress diagnosis. I think everybody in the world has probably got that right now. I know where you're coming from, Lorraine. You're saying you got, things trigger you, and yeah, I've got it. I totally have PTSD. I think we're the poster children for that because, when it comes to gang stalking, that's what they do. They invade your psyche with trauma. They attack you. They scare the crap out of you. They do all these things to you. They attack your personal property. They ruin your life. They freak you out. And just, it's that scientific methodology, man. It's like getting a mental tattoo. You can't stop it. And everything around that traumatic event, whatever it is, whether they're hunting you down for a week or whether they're just harassing you in your dwelling or whatever they're doing, harassing you at work or whatever, or, drugging you and then freaking you out or something. And then it's there. All the associations involved with that scenario are triggers, even if they're not involved in something that you would consider gang stalking. You got music or smells, the weather, whatever. Yeah. And then you got to think about what they're going to do next. Absolutely. Yeah. That's the other thing. Once you're traumatized, because that's what they do. They don't really have to attack you because you're just waiting and wondering what's going to be next, right? You're trying to figure out what's going to happen next, and it might be a while, and they'll do that, and then they don't have to do anything. And I was talking about that in the last video. Sometimes they'll hit you, and just keep you awake. The noise campaigns, the harassment, everything. And it might even involve covert drugging. That's really the only way I could explain something like that. That happened when I left. When I first started this channel, I think it was 2020 or something, and I had to leave that place because they fumed me in there, and I was awake for over 7 days, man. I don't know what it was that they got me with. It's happened a couple times. They followed me to the hotel. It was nuts. Like, I caught a guy trying to get in. It's like Mel Gibson on on Conspiracy Theory, where he jams up against the door and put the bottle on there and everything. So they chased me to the hotel, and I just wanted a night's sleep, and I got everything jammed up against the door, and I'm laying in bed, and I'm just about to fall asleep, and geez, all the stuff that I had stacked up on there, because you got turn it into a little trap, and it comes crashing down, and I could hear the door open, and then they took off. They thought I was asleep. I was laying there for quite a while. They will literally break into your house. They will break into your damn hotel, wherever you're at, and they'll do things, man. Targeted individuals deal with that. When I first started dealing with it, there was a guy who was trying to trip me out. He was talking about all this stuff, oh, you can poison people's food. And I knew he was messing with my head, but I really didn't know at what level this whole thing was going to go. It was right at the beginning. And I tell that targeted individuals, I'm like, hey, man, if someone's threatening you, or you think they're messing around with you, or you think you're a victim of gang stalking, don't play around with this thing, man. Get a security system, lock your damn doors, do whatever you have to do, because these people don't back off. They're crazy. But he said, oh yeah, we can do it. And I'm like, yeah. And so he came over, and I was messing around, and I reached into the fridge because I thought he was just trying to make me paranoid. And I grabbed some, I think it was milk or something, and I took a big swig and had a smart alecky look on my face. And he's like, it made him mad, and he got pissed off. He said, oh, and he said it loud enough to where I could hear it. And there was a few other people over. And he said, well, you're going to start paying attention to that stuff when things happen to you at night. And I was like, what? And anyway, later on, it was probably, I don't remember exactly the time frame. It was like a couple weeks later or whatever. But yeah, they broke into my house. They drugged me, took my clothes off, man. Made a dramatic exit and slammed the door. It was horrifying. And that's what they do. They traumatize the individual, and then you got to sit around and wonder what are they going to do? Are they going to kill me? Are they going to drug me with something that's going to fry my brain, or do something, give me cancer? That was one of the things they were talking about. Oh, yeah, we put stuff in your food and give you cancer. It's just nuts. And you wonder exactly what they're going to do, and they're not afraid to hurt you. And I used to listen to Zeph Daniels. I don't know if you guys ever watched him. I like listening to his stuff every now and again. And there are people that they do. He was talking about people that are literally die. There was a friend of his that she was a new targeted individual. She ended up getting into the hospital and then died of some kind of infection or something. And the whole thing started because she was she was a targeted individual. But they're not afraid to hurt you. They're not afraid to scare the crap out of you, to make you fear for your life. And it's reckless. That's the other thing. When targeted individuals, are dealing with, covert drugging, or they're just complacent from all the stuff that they're trying to figure out, or sleep deprived or depressed. Well, you never know what's going to happen. You don't know what they're going to do. You don't know how people are going to react. And you don't know. There could be collateral damage. They don't give a crap. They don't care about that at all. And you can tell because they're doing it. Any reasonable human being would say, hey, if I'm going to mess with someone, if I'm going to do something to this individual, what could possibly happen? Maybe they'll get into a car wreck. Maybe they'll get hurt at work, or somebody else is going to get hurt around them. Or maybe, they're going to freak out on a family member or something. Maybe the children are going to suffer. They don't care. They don't care about that. They have no compassion, heartless, soulless individuals out there. Here's Smith and Wesson. Yeah, I've heard of targeted individuals carrying firearms, and I can see why. I mean, it would definitely stop the street theater, man. You know, it would definitely. There was a guy that made some comments, and he said, "Yeah, I used to get a lot of street theater, and since I've been carrying the Glock, it's just people just don't have that desire to open their mouths and harass me anymore. Directed conversations just kind of dropped off the map. I wouldn't, yeah, the last thing somebody who's being driven insane, by a bunch of gang stalkers with a pistol, run. Nobody's that dumb. They're at least smart enough to do that. For me, oh, Robin Hood. How long have I been targeted? Oh man, yeah. Well, let me finish first. I'd be afraid to have a gun. I had my first firearm when I was probably 6 years old, and I used to do a lot of hunting, a lot. I don't do it anymore because I'm not into it. I was raised that way. We'd get up, every weekend, and we'd go out and we'd hunt. We'd get up at 4 in the morning and we'd hunt all weekend, whatever, every week. And we'd pretty much kill everything in sight. And I just don't have it in me to do it. I'm friends with the little woodland creatures now. If I had to do it, if I was out surviving or something, yeah. But I grew up killing things for sport, and I regret it. I feel bad about that stuff. But getting back to the point, I'm pretty good with a gun. I'm good with a pistol. I'm good with a shotgun. I'm good with a rifle. And there was a point in time, I think it was the year 2000, where I decided that, you know what, for me to have a gun with all this stuff going on, I think it's a bad idea, you know. And I've just so that's it depends on your scenario. If you feel safe with a gun, I don't know, because I know they're going to push people, and I know that targeted individuals get pushed, and I know I've been pushed a lot. Well, how long have I been targeted? The break-in that I just talked about started in, I think it was 1993, but I've dealt with stuff back into my childhood, but I don't consider that. I mean, I consider it gang stalking, I guess. It's kind of a borrowed term. It's use of that nomenclature. Gang stalking, people get ganged up on, group harassment, mind control, MK Ultra. But yeah, I would say 1993. So we're moving up on, it's around 30 years now, I guess. So, uh, but it started. I can remember stuff way back, even when I was 5 or 6 years old. And I'm going to be very reluctant to talk about that on a live broadcast or at all at this point. But the harassment started out aggressive, and I think it usually does with all targeted individuals because they've got to traumatize you. That's how they play their game. And once they get you sensitized, once they get you paranoid, that's part of the game. By the way, if there's anybody out there listening to this that is struggling with shame concerning your paranoia, people are accusing you, or maybe you found yourself reading into things or whatever. Okay. Well, let it go, because that's the nature of the beast. When it comes to gang stalking, man, you're reacting naturally to something that is just heinous. I mean, this is an assault on your existence. This is it's attempted murder. Okay, so if you're a little paranoid, well, no kidding. Okay, yeah, that's part of the game. But don't be ashamed of that. But they do, and they'll do that. They have to, because that's the modus operandi. And then paranoia is the devouring, menacing little pestilence that all targeted individuals deal with. Because, like Lorraine mentioned earlier, you don't know what the hell's going to happen next. It's not your fault. It's definitely not your fault. The problem that comes in is that usually targeted individuals are isolated, so they're all alone, right? And they're gonna run into things. There's gonna be problems. People might be wondering why you have cameras and everything. I've got cameras surrounding me. I can't go to bed at night without cameras. Okay, I've got 7 cameras surrounding me. Period. And if I don't have at least one, it's not going to work for me. So what happens? Well, what do you get the camera? What do you, and I don't have anything that's really of value, right? I don't. I've got a pretty nice amp. I got a guitar that's really cheap and some other stuff. Really no furniture at this point, because you never know when you're going to have to move as a targeted individual. I'm crippled, man, and I can't afford to do all that. I just finally got rid of everything, man. I've had to move like 4 times. When they start chasing you down, man, and it is what it is. But, people are going to try to pick apart. Oh, well, and especially if you try to tell somebody that something happened, and they're going to come up with other explanations. Oh, that wasn't gang stalking. It was something else. Or maybe maybe you're wrong. Maybe it was just coincidence. Fine. Whatever, But at the same time, and I've talked about this in videos before, they have to pick apart the things that you're telling them. If you tried to explain this, if you're targeting an individual who's literally just said, hey, man, this is what's happening to me, wherever I am, whatever I'm, trying to do, wherever I go, I'm getting harassed. I'm getting followed. I'm getting, stalked. I'm dealing with street theater. I'm dealing with food tampering, whatever, all of it. They have to pick apart your story, because if they believe you, right, if they take it as truth, well, then that means the world around them is nuts, right? It's literally something that they have to disprove. And some of them might just be trying to help you. But you're going to read into something, and then they're invalidating you, right? Oh, I don't know, you're paranoid or whatever, but it isn't your fault. You're right, Lorraine. It's not. And the way I look at it, if I start getting something like that, I look at all the stuff that I've dealt with, and I'll just. I'm surprised that I haven't turned into some kind of mass shooter or some kind of, like serial killer, like on Saw, or something, and just because I've dealt with a lot of stuff. So if I'm a little paranoid, oh whatever, I'm not gonna feel guilty about it, man. And the thing about being a targeted individual is that if because if you're a targeted individual who's dealt with all these things, it's time for you to make some protocols. You don't have to trust people. Okay. That's where a lot of the paranoia comes in. Oh, should I do this? Should I trust this person? Is it okay if I do this? Okay. I just work around it. I'll develop a system to where I'm not gonna have to put myself in a place where I'm gonna have to trust somebody really. I'm not going to do the nesty plunge because you know what? They'll just drop me. I know they will. They will. And if they don't, whatever, they will eventually. And that's how I kind of deal with it. Let's see what do we got here. Being a TI brought oh in my heart. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I wondered for a while if I still had a heart left. They are devouring little locusts. They are. Yeah. Yeah. What about handlers, guys? Have any of you been dealing with anyone consistent? Anybody out there had anybody consistent that they would consider someone who's like working on them? Maybe an infiltrator, the old handler. You got to love those guys, man. I had someone that was following me around for about a year when I was doing deliveries. I just seen this person everywhere, right? And I'm like, because I'm everywhere. This town is pretty spread out, so I'm delivering food, 15 miles in either direction. And this guy was everywhere. There are people that I know. I might not see him, but maybe once a year or less. And this guy was everywhere. I'm like, what the hell's going on? And I thought for a minute, well, maybe he thinks I'm following him. I've had that happen before. But that would be impossible because every time I see him, he comes walking into a restaurant after I'm there or something and sits down. And he knows that I'm a delivery guy. He says, oh, are you here for the DoorDash? Are you here for the Uber? Yeah. Here's my number, 675A3. And, he knows I have a reason to be there. And I'm like, who is this dude, man? And that's another protocol. I just kind of ignore everything. I've got enough to deal with, and I don't care. So you want to follow me? Who cares? I mean, what do you want to make me paranoid? I'm pretty much maxed out on the paranoia. Whatever. I'm at level, 5,000 on that. So who cares? But I kept seeing this dude. He was everywhere. Sometimes, I would see him, maybe even 10 times a day. And I'm like, what the hell's going on? And the last time I saw him, I was in the grocery store. And I'm crippled, so I'm riding this little cart. It's at the end of the day. I'm a delivery guy. My legs are, I'm in super amounts of pain. And anyway, there he is. He's looking. I don't know if because he never has a cart. He's in the supermarket. He never has a cart or a hand cart or anything. And he's always, pretend like he's doing something. Examining the label on a package. I don't know if he's some kind of food inspector or something because he's always in the grocery stores, but never buying anything, And I'm like, gosh, there's that guy again. What the hell? And so I'm like, okay, here's what I'm going to do. Because I know he's facing west. I'm going to move past him. I'm going to head east. And I'm going to look behind me because he has absolutely no reason to look at me or even notice me, I'm just that dude in the cart, I got a mask on and everything. And I just got a few items, some Gatorade, some other stuff, to get some food because I'm a European shopper. Pretty much afraid to leave anything in my house at this point. Not even to go there. And so, so I go past him and I turn around and I'm looking, and he did too. He turned around, he looked at me, and he saw me looking at him, and boom, he moves his head and and he just walked out of the store really fast. And I haven't seen him since. See, I was staring at it too. Oh gosh. Yeah. Yeah, you gotta love it, man. Haven't seen him. That was weeks ago too. Haven't seen him, and he was somebody that I used to see every day. So I don't know. I mean, I could come up with a lot of speculations. I don't, like I said, I don't really care. I know, what I'm dealing with, and I know what's going on. There's a lot of ways to process this stuff. I've dealt with all of it. I've seen it. I've had all the street theater. I've had people, oh, we're gonna do this to you. We're gonna do that. We're hacking your phone. We're gonna put a spell on you. The witchcraft stuff. I dealt with that. They finally, somebody tried to do that to me a while ago. They were trying to make me paranoid of that. I'm like, man, you're the one that's going to be suffering. These people they're not going to catch on until something either comes up and bites them in the ass, or, they end up, leaving the planet, and they're going to find out. You cannot just break all the laws of the universe and harass people and treat people that way and think you're going to get away with it. You might get away with it for a while. You might get away with it until you're dead. But after that, there's going to be a judgment. I talk about that. And it's like, really? So this is my first live stream. We got 16 people on now. And I'm just rambling, talking about some things. Anybody have any questions? And the silence was loud. The silence is loud. Well, yeah. I'm waiting. Well, I'll let you think about that. Let's talk about stalling tactics. Those are fun. Stalling tactics are fun. A lot of people talk about the grocery store thing. It's always interesting when you run into someone, and things like that happen. You can't just assume that just because someone seems to be moving in front of you multiple times when you're in the grocery store that they're some kind of gang stalker or something. Okay. Some people are just like that. Sometimes coincidental things can be set up. Sometimes, you're just involved in a synchronicity or whatever. But sometimes it's obvious, And you're like, oh, yeah, okay, excuse me. Oh, don't worry about it. Yeah, don't worry. And there they are, Or you'll get usually a stalling tactic is most effective when the other person has something you need. All right. That's the worst. And I always advise targeted individuals, you want to try to have money put away. you want to try to have everything you need, because they're going to take advantage of all that stuff. Right. And they like to get targeted individuals. That's one of the main strategies of gang stalking. They can break you down, get you dysfunctional or whatever, and get you into a place where they can kind of lord over you. You need them for something. You're at their mercy. It's like the abused wife who has the alcoholic husband, and she's he's got all the money. She's kind of got to put up with it. And when you're a targeted individual, you're outnumbered. Sometimes you can find yourself in that family scenario. That's pretty deadly. And they will do stuff like that purposefully. They will get you near, get you depending on them, and then they'll start pulling that stuff, and then you're in trouble. Then a narcissist will invade your life and love bomb you or whatever, and get you dependent, and isolate you from all your other means of support, and they'll start playing that game. But if you get into a place where you need something, they love that. They can pull all kinds of games on you then. And I've talked about that before. I remember I quit smoking in 2021, but I noticed that was one of the games that is played on me. I would ask for a pack of cigarettes, and I'd give me some Marlboro, Marlboro Red 100s. And, oh, you want this one? Is it the green pack? Is it? Oh, The Camels, is that the one you went to Camel Crush? No, no, I was good. The Marble Red, the red, and other people would start chiming in. Oh, it's no. Move your hand over the up to the left. Yeah, the red and white pack, or I'll go in to get a delivery at a store, and you'll say the name. That's a good one. Yeah, I'm picking one up. Picking one up for Sally. Yeah, it's the chicken fried steak. Oh, for Bill. Oh, it's for Nally. Did you say Nally? No, I didn't say it's Sally. And they'll do it. And pretty soon you're just yelling. You know, it's not that hard to figure out. You can tell they're being sarcastic. I had one guy. I'd walk into the store, and it's a pretty good distance from the entrance of the restaurant all the way up to the cashiers, where you can pick up the deliveries over there. And I'd walk in, and you're looking at maybe 50 feet, right? You got a restaurant full of people, right? Tables full of people, and he would start yelling, "All right, there you go!" And he was just, "Are you here to pick up?" And he's this Chinese guy. "Are you here to pick up?" I think, and I'm like, I'm not going to start yelling because I tried to do it. Yeah, I'm here for such and so, but he'd just keep yelling, and so I basically started to ignore the dude, and I'd walk in and he'd start yelling, and I would just I wouldn't say anything, and everybody'd be looking at him and looking at me, and he's doing it, and finally I'd get about 10 foot away, and he'd pretend like he was angry. Well, I don't know what you don't want to do. And he would wave his hand, like get out of here, and he'd just walk away from the counter, and I'd just be sitting there, and he'd come back. "Oh, I thought you don't want to talk to me." As in, I just didn't want to yell through the restaurant, all these little games, Yeah, games are fun, and they chip away at your sanity. It's like emotional vampirism. All these things demoralize you. It's like Jono said, you might have a nightmare. You might not have a good sleep. You might be dealing with, some kind of noise campaign or whatever. You got to go to work. You know, you might get harassed on the commute or whatever. And then it's just, the little foxes that spoil the vine, and it accumulates. Targeted individuals deal with accumulation. And it's almost like a subtle gaslight, because after about midpoint of the day, if they're hitting you hard or whatever, and you get somebody come up and get smart ass with you or whatever, are you feeling all right? Are you did you get sleep? Did you sleep last night? You look kind of sick, you know. And the whole idea is to get you. Oh, I look bad. I mean, like you're supposed to go look in the mirror and maybe you ought to go, take your temperature or something. It's like no, no. I just I slept in the garbage can last night. Don't worry about it. Yeah, yeah. It changes your life. Yeah, and it's one of those things that there's a lot of things that we all have. We have goals or whatever. Everybody wants, the American dream, the little, house with the white picket fence at the very least. Some people have bigger aspirations, but I mean, is it too much to ask to, be treated like a human being? And that's one of the things that gets very depressing. It's something that weighs on targeted individuals because you're out there in the world, and all of a sudden your life changes. You are a victim of harassment. Your financial life starts to go into that spiral, depending on what you're dealing with. Your social life probably more than definitely is going to. And then what? You know, well, now you've got to contemplate all your dreams kind of getting flushed down the proverbial toilet. And I've talked about that before. You really have to, I mean, faith comes into play at that point. Yeah, it's hard to believe. Oh, Poop Deck Peppy came in here. Yeah. Uh, you don't. I mean, it's hard to believe that, but you have dreams, you have aspirations, and you just got to let that stuff go and realize that this life isn't everything. If you're going by the biblical criteria, the greater part of your existence is after this, but it's difficult. I mean, really, and you can't just let it all go. Here you are, the days are long, they're lonely, and what do? You just give up? No, you can't do that. And so you have to be realistic about your goals and stuff like that. Sometimes I just give myself a time frame and say, well, I'm just going to do this. I'm going to be simple. I'm going to, just go to work or whatever. I'm not going to try and figure all this stuff out. And I'm going to see what happens. And otherwise, you drive yourself nuts. You will. Because there are things that I want. There are things that you guys want. There are things that everybody wants. You know, yeah. You want to be happy. You want people in your life to be social with. You want maybe a spouse or whatever. You know, relationships as a targeted individual are pretty difficult. And then you have the lateral comparisons of all these people around you. For example, I'm delivering food. Well, there's some pretty nice houses out there I deliver to, mansions worth millions of dollars. And especially at night when you can see through the window and, they're all sitting around the dining room table or they got the lights dim and it's just one of those beautiful summer nights. And, the lamp is dim. You can see the huge big screen TV. They got the pool out there. The wind is kind of blowing through the trees and it's just it's beautiful. It's a beautiful summer night. You can smell all the flowers blooming and all the fancy gardens around the gated community that they live in, and you're just like, wow, I can't imagine what that's like. They're normal. There's no cameras. They're not worried about anything. They're not paranoid. It's demoralizing. And you got to deal with that, or you'll be sitting at work and if you're a targeted individual who's got to deal with a lot of harassment, uh, you hear other people complaining about stuff, right? And so they'll be, oh man, I can't believe what I'm dealing with, and the wife wants me to, or my boyfriend, and it's like, well, and you're sitting there thinking, man, yeah, it's been like 3 days since I've slept. I just, got done dealing with, some harassment and my neighborhood. Somebody hacked my phone. I just had to buy another phone. All my mail is getting sent back to everybody. And you're dealing with all this crazy stuff and they're complaining about something menial. I always wonder if that's a strategy. You know, you gotta wonder, because it's irritating when someone does that. You never know. I'm trying to keep up with the comments. I'm definitely going to have to get a laptop, or I'm just using my phone right now. But yeah, it's let's take a look at some of the comments. Anyone dealing with random shooting pains, muscle spasms, and twitches. That's interesting. And that goes into the area that I was talking about earlier, to where you don't know what it is, right? Because you could be having some kind of legitimate health issue, right? And it's one of those scenarios where you don't know what's going on. You don't know if you're being harassed by some kind of electronical device. You don't know whether it's something demonic. You don't know what the hell's going on, and that's a lot of the thing that targeted individuals have to try and process what's happening to them. Or it could just be something simple, especially if you're one of those victims of food tampering or something like that, and you get some heartburn or you get some cramps or whatever. If that's part of your sensitization, the first thing in your mind is always the worst case scenario, Oh my gosh. Oh, what's going to happen now? Oh my gosh. Yeah. And you got to speculate. That starts the trigger for, a lot of anxiety, because there are a lot of triggers for targeted individuals. That's part of the sensitization process. Not only does it take you down that rabbit hole of associations, that nightmarish trip into your past harassment, and what's connected to all that? Emotions, right? Anxiety, panic, depression, confusion, all that stuff. And I'm trying to read these messages here. Muscles twitching, and that can have reciprocity, because at that point you're basically on the verge of coming down with some kind of serious anxiety disorder. You can have that happen, and then you're afraid to be afraid. I mean, that you can really get into an anxiety problem. I've been having that lately. I'm not going to go into the details of it. Oh, that's wonderful. Oh, yeah, I'm going to have to end the live stream soon, unfortunately, guys, but I'll be doing it again. Um, but yeah, you can start to have panic attacks. You're literally, being triggered to the point where you're developing a pathology. Your fight and flight, parasympathetic and sympathetic nervous system are literally being altered because of all the stimuli that you're receiving from your gang stalking, from your harassment. And then you can start to go into that, and you don't know what's happening. It could be something mundane. It could just be a health issue, but you don't know. And especially if you're a victim that's been assaulted for great lengths of time, for extended periods of time, because then your mind goes down that rabbit hole of, oh no, they're going to do it again. What's going to happen to me this time, right? Are they gonna try and kill me again? That's what it's like when targeted individuals go on the run, when they're being hunted down, or they're experiencing that sensitization where you're being attacked and assaulted. They might try to drive you out of your dwelling or drive you off the job or whatever, and then they'll follow you. They love it when you run, you know. Um, you don't know how long it's going to last. You don't know to what extent the harassment's going to go, and that's the whole idea of that traumatic invasion. And they'll hit you as long as they have to get you into that paranoid state of mind, and then they can just back off and watch you squirm. It's basically what they do. Nothing can happen for weeks, months, years, and you're still looking around. You're wondering what's going to happen. You're looking over your shoulder, and it doesn't matter. It can happen one time. It could be a fairly short attack. It doesn't take much. Just depends. Depends on how you were raised. Depends on what your exposure was when you were a kid too. There's a lot of psychological factors, and I think targeted individuals are profiled as well. And there's a lot of people that talk about the fact that they've been dealing with this stuff ever since they were little kids. And some of the stuff that people speculate about, it's almost too crazy. But for targeted individuals, really no such. There's really no such arena, because it's all insane, And if somebody says, no, my family are Satanists, and they've been doing this to me, and it's like a type of sacrifice or whatever, where they didn't kill me, they didn't like stick a knife through my heart and sacrifice me on this altar to a demon or whatever, but they kind of vowed to torture me and demoralize me and gaslight me. From the time I was a little kid, or something. Is that something that's out of out of the realm of possibilities? No, no, it's not. And I think there's a lot of stuff like that. There's, I think that there's a lot of spiritual aspects to gang stalking. And even though there are a lot of you out there that might have a pushback to that, um, there is government involvement. But the thing about using that analogy, especially when it comes to the logistical possibilities, is that it explains a lot of things. And it also allows individuals to process information in a way where instead of saying, the whole FedEx corporation is hunting me or whatever, you just realize that there are people all over in society that could be involved in gang stalking. You know, they can there can be people involved in law enforcement. It's not necessarily that the police department is after the targeted individual, but there could be people that work at that particular location or whatever, or in that county or whatever, and yeah, they're part of it, right? It's not to say that all the cops are bad. It just means that there are people everywhere in every area of life or occupation that could be used. And that spiritual application kind of covers that whole thing. And I think that's a lot of the explanation for things that targeted individuals deal with when they get sensitized or they believe that all the first responders are after them or whatever. I believe what they've experienced is real. Absolutely. But you have to process that information correctly. Well, guys, I see that there are more people coming on here, and they would love to follow me with their highest beams. Yeah, there's the high beam stuff. I hate that, man. Especially when you start getting older, because you got halos and cataracts and everything, and my gosh, they'll cause an accident. Then there's the guys out there that install those extra lights on their vehicles, right? The things that look like they're military grade that could blind an aircraft at 5 miles away. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I've had to pull over before, man. Just stop the vehicle. It doesn't happen very often anymore, but wow. Well, guys, I'm gonna have to. I have something that came up, unfortunately, but this is an experiment, and I'm gonna be doing more live streams. Maybe I'll even come on later tonight. I don't know, but it was nice hanging out with you, and I appreciate you guys showing up. Next time, I'll probably schedule it or something like that. You never know. I'm kind of a spontaneous individual, and I like it that way. So, over and out, guys. Be good to yourselves. Be safe.